Hey everyone, and welcome back to Callie's Kitchen. I may not have a lot of space, but I always have room for you. And holy moly, I don't know what to say. um, I made a video a month ago called Hungarian Paprikash, and it's sitting at 1,000 views. And multiple people requested that I make Hungarian goulash. So I'm gonna listen and I'm gonna make it. I am floored, and welcome to everybody that has subscribed and decided to join my crew of Cali kebabs. I don't even know if that's what I want to call you guys still, but I like it. I have coffee today because my local grocery store came out with the pumpkin spice one, so I'm gonna try it. So we're gonna taste test it before we get cooking. It's perfect. Oh my god. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna be making Hungarian goulash today. I didn't make a cooking video last week because I was icky sicky, and I just kind of did some fun stuff. So if you want to see something that's not cooking and just me being silly with my boyfriend, feel free to watch that last video. But we're gonna go ahead and get started and make Hungarian goulash. So here we go. Grab a drink. I have some if you like. I have my typical red offering. I have water. I just got some new milk. I have coffee. If you'd like some pumpkin spice coffee, I can make you some. Grab a seat and let's get cooking and let's chat. I have some really weird things to tell you today, so I'm looking forward to giving the tea. So here we go. Let's start cooking. Okay, so I've been having a little bit of a problem with this mic. I'm still learning it, so hopefully it's gonna pick me up okay. But the recipe we are going to be doing is from Carlsbad Cravings. And you know, I can admit my faults, okay? And my mistakes. And I did not look at the recipe serving size for this. And I went ahead and just bought all the groceries, which I'm just realizing I now have 2 sets of mushrooms that oh darn. I bought 2 giant packages of mushrooms. Well, this is gonna feed like 6 to 8 servings. So this was a little bit more of an expensive dish to buy because I had to buy 2.5 pounds of stew meat, and it's like $10 for one of these. So this is a bit more of an expensive dish, but that's also because I'm dumb. So you can blame me for that, but I'm gonna go ahead and get everything prepped. I like to cut stuff off camera because I don't want you to hear the noise. So I'm gonna go ahead and get everything prepped, everything set aside, get my pot out. We're gonna use a Dutch oven, and we're gonna get cooking. And I gotta tell you the story of what happened to me the other day because, oh boy, I am creeped out. It's kind of a creepy story. So anyway, let's go. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get this meat on the stove. I've had it sitting in some salt and pepper, just kind of getting it seasoned. So we're gonna get that going, and I'm gonna finish chopping my ingredients. This is a long recipe. This recipe takes a while. Also, I had a viewer, I believe his name was Josh Green. He said making sure to try to do Worcestershire sauce to really bump up the flavor. So I'm gonna do that. And then this recipe also said for potatoes to be added, and I'm gonna add parsnips because when I was looking for the recipe to do this, there's a lot of variations, and some of them had parsnips and some of them had potatoes. And I found this at my local store, and this is traditional farmer style spatzel. So we're gonna cook this up and put the stuff on top, but we're gonna wait till the very end for this step because this will take 13 minutes. And this needs to sit for 3 hours, which I did not tell my boyfriend it would take that long, so I may need to get him a little snack before we eat, but that's okay. So I'm gonna get this going. We're gonna get the meat really browned and, well, not really browned. I think we just need to like get it kind of seared. Yeah, we're just gonna sear it all, get it all seared up, and then we'll go ahead and add the vegetables and things like that. So I'm gonna come back, and then once I start cooking the vegetables, I will tell you my crazy story. Anyway, cheers, friends, to meals that take 2 to 3 hours to make. Okay, let's go. Okay, so I am sauteing the onions and the mushrooms right now. And like I said, I'm gonna tell you this story of what happened. So I moved into my home like, oh man, I guess it was in July. So it's been a couple of months I've moved in, and it was a process. I feel like everyone can understand if you've ever tried or bought a house, it's a process. You know, the house was posted on like Zillow, which, I mean, it's pretty common. And you know, when you are looking at buying a house or renting a home, you can see the pictures of the inside of like the different rooms and what it looks like and the layout. I feel like this is all just basic stuff. Well, I never thought about how this could potentially cause people to know your home as well as you do. So I was outside and I was watering because I had just planted a few plants on the outside of my fence, and I was trying to keep them alive through the heat. And so it was nighttime. And there was this guy who was riding his bike, and I live on a corner of a very busy street. So I'm not like super surprised to see people riding around their bikes, and I'm not super far from like a gas station. So people will go and get stuff and come by. So it's not really uncommon. So as he was riding by, he called out to me, and I couldn't really hear what he said. Now at this point I had just installed a new fence. So I had been getting a lot of people kind of coming and saying that they liked the fence and it was so cute and blah, blah, blah. Like I said, I live on a corner that's very popular. So anything I do is noticed by the entire neighborhood. So I thought he was going to say something about the fence. Nope. So he said something and I said, oh, what? You know, I didn't hear you. And he turned his bike around. And it was a bicycle, not like a motorcycle. He turned his bike around and he said, I love your house. And I was like, oh, thank you. And he goes, I really wanted to buy it. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. At this point, I'm just like, what do you say to someone who wants to buy your house? I mean, you know, I wanted to buy it too, and I got lucky, and we were not fighting against anyone to buy this house. Like, no one had any offers on this house. So it wasn't like, you know, I had put an offer in on another house and somebody else beat me out, and there's someone living there now. And I really, 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 really wanted that house, but I would never go up and be like, oh, you took this house from me. Like, I would never do that. Now, this guy had a very distinct voice. It was very, I don't want to sound insultive when I say this, but it was very whiny. Like, he sounded kind of, I'm going to try to impersonate him. He was like, I wanted to buy your house, like that. And he talked like that the entire time, conversing with me. So, I mean, he just had this kind of naturally whiny voice. Like, he sounded like he was whining. And so when he told me he wanted to buy my house, I was like, oh, you know, I'm so sorry. There's tons of other houses that are for sale right now. And I pointed to one that's like 3 or 4 houses down from me that is for sale. He immediately starts to talk over me, and he's saying things like, you know, he can't afford it. Mood. I can barely afford getting in this house, you know. He was saying that he needed He really wanted a house with a pool. I don't have a pool, so I was like, well, we don't have a pool, but I was like, there is a house for sale that's like a few streets down that has a pool, because I saw a sign that said they had a pool. I didn't see the pool, but the sign said they had a pool. And I notice when houses are for sale around me and things like that. So I just was like, oh yeah, there's a house a few streets over. And he goes, where? And I said, oh, a few streets that way. I don't know exactly where, but it said it has a pool in the backyard. And he was like, oh, thanks. I'm going to go look. And I was like, okay. And then he starts telling me that he would like for me to gift him my house. And I was like, oh no, I just moved in. So then he starts telling me that he has looked at every house on Zillow that is in a certain square miles of my house. And he lives a few, like at the end of my street. By this point, I'm thinking like, okay, he might be intoxicated or he might be on something, because he did have a bag in his hands, but I didn't want to assume. But he just he kept talking over me. He kept interrupting me. I'm really bad at excusing myself anyway. So that doesn't really help. Before anyone flips their lid, I am adding 1/4 of a cup of Hungarian paprika, to the extent where I bought a whole new one because I knew I'd probably run out since I've already used this. So, and I did. So we're gonna open up the new one. So by this point, he is telling me to come closer to him, which I'm not doing. I'm not stupid. So yeah, I'm like not getting any closer to him, and he's like kind of hovering. He's got a bag in his hand, like I said, and he tells me randomly, he said, what are you doing tonight? And I said, oh, just normal stuff, like very vague comment, obviously. So then he tells me, he goes, well, I'm all by myself tonight and I don't have anyone to hang out with. And I was like, great. I'm gonna go back inside now. And he did not leave me alone. So he continued to bother me, and he was saying things like he was gonna be drinking, and he held up the bag, so I assume there was alcohol in the bag. That's probably why he was coming back from the gas station or wherever he was coming from on his bike. And then he continued, then he says, he goes, I'm gonna try to say it in the voice that he said. He goes, I just don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble. And I'm like, why would you be getting in trouble? So then I'm like thinking, like, is this guy like under the age of 21? I don't know. I just found out my bell pepper had twins inside. I'm gonna plant these in the ground and see what happens. Why not? Guys, this is a lot of goulash. Would you like to take some home for leftovers? I'll give you some Tupperware. Because, oh my god. Lisa's crazy. This is a lot. Okay, whatever. So you're probably saying like, oh, Callie, this isn't a scary story or like this is just like a weird guy who's lonely. And I would agree with you. But what he said next has had me looking at cameras to buy. He said, after he told me he was going to be drinking alone and how he was lonely, I had dismissed him once again, saying, well, have a good night, be safe, ride your bike safe. And he said, I know every room in your house. I've looked at the Zillow listing so many times. And he started to describe my bathroom in full detail to me, and then the entire layout of the house. So that started giving me the creeps. And I did notice recently 2 things. One, the back door of my house, which I'm looking at right now, I can try to show it to you. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. There is a forehead print a nose print, and some fingerprints. It's too tall to be my child. Is it possible it was from me and my boyfriend? Yes, we talked about it. We don't really remember pushing our face with our fingers splayed out. Well, first of all, the fingers splayed out, the fingerprints, they're like this on me. I would have to have my hand like fully open like this to be able to touch where the fingers were. So that's concerning. And then there was also, which I already washed off because this was before I saw him, there were fingerprints like this against my office window with a face print against it too, which I hadn't cleaned that window and before, you know, like until recently. And honestly, like I thought maybe it was someone who had looked at the house previously, because I think I had seen those. I mean, I don't know if I saw him. I kind of making stuff up in my head now, you know, but like I was like, oh, someone probably was like peering in when the house was for sale, and so I wiped it down. But the one on my door is new, as in like the last maybe 48 hours new. So yeah, I'm a little creeped out. I may have to get some cameras. But anyway, now we're at the point where we're gonna let this sit for 2 to 3 hours. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up my kitchen and prep the parsnips, because the parsnips are gonna go in the last 30 minutes. This is a lot of food. And that's not even, we haven't even done the spatzel yet. So we're gonna be eating good for a few days, which is fine with me. This, like I said, this was kind of an expensive dish, and for, you know, what it's worth, it's better to be able to eat it over the course of a few days than just like blow it all in one sitting, right? So, okay, I'm gonna let you guys go. You guys relax, enjoy some music, some snacks. Don't eat snacks, actually. You need to be hungry for this. And I will check back in about 2 or 3 hours when we're ready to eat this. And I will be adding the parsnips, like I said, the last 30 minutes, and making the spatzel in the last 15. Probably once I put the parsnips in, I'll start working on the spatzel. But we'll be back momentarily after a quick commercial break. Want a break from the ads? What are you doing? Hi. Okay, it's done.
Yes, it is.
2.5 hours later, and we are ready to eat. It made a lot of food.
Yeah, it did.
And it smells phenomenal. I hope I made the spatzel correctly.
The what now?
The spatzel, the noodle thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's authentic, but it smells very good.
Mm-hmm.
So let's, I don't even know where to start. It's so hot. You're just gonna go for it?
I'm just gonna go for it.
I'm gonna go for the meat and see if it's tender. Oh, it's tender.
Mm-hmm.
It's hot.
Yeah, it's really good.
Mm. It's very roast beef, pot roast, but the parsnips are the last to be entered, so I'm curious to see how they are.
No, it's mushroom again. It's meat.
This is the parsnip.
Yeah.
We're gonna try. Oh, it feels soft.
Mushrooms are done just right.
There's a lot going on.
All right, here we go.
Who knew that Hungarian food was so like
Flavorful.
yeah, like I kind of always, this sounds ignorant, but I kind of assumed that most of the European countries had very bland food. And I always like correlated Indian food and the like Korean, Japanese, Chinese food as
Heavily
being
rich and spicy.
super flavorful, and like this is so good.
Yeah, I love these noodles. They're like kind of like thicker and doughy, but like really nice. And they like really hold the flavor well.
It says they're egg noodles. Yeah, I mean, okay, I guess that's not fair for me to say because German food is really good. And not at all. I guess I'm just.
I think you might have been going for like Eastern European sort of like.
Well, the more that I sit here and I think about it, I'm like, it's really just London.
It really is. It's the gray porridge, gray everything, and then, except for their brown sauce.
France has good food. Italy has good food. Mediterranean has good food.
Yeah.
German.
It's just a
London.
little.
It's so good.
Everywhere else. Oh yeah.
Do you remember the Hungarian paprikash I made with the whole chicken, not the whole chicken, but the chicken bones and stuff?
Oh yes.
Okay, so how would you compare this dish to that dish?
I actually kind of like this one better, just with like the heartiness and like the real rich flavor. I mean, you said you had used how much of the what was it, the paprika, the sweet paprika?
A fourth of a cup.
Fourth of the, yeah. And it's just like, oh, my new go-to to put in everything.
This is really good. This would be like great on a winter night.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hello.
The fly. I feel like we don't have flies all week, and as soon as I make a video, one shows up.
Actually, I really like the parsnips.
Someone on YouTube commented and said, you can also put this over mashed potatoes. It'd be heartier. I think it'd be, which would come from the potatoes instead of the parsnips, but this would make a phenomenal mashed potato topping.
Oh yeah. I could also see like if the parsnips were like cut up with one of those like noodle maker things.
Oh,
Make
so
them,
they're like zoodles?
Yeah, to like thin them out, to like add them into like the egg noodle mix. That way they're like, the flavor's more easily able like to soak into the center of them.
Yeah, I mean, I added them in the last 30 minutes. So, I mean, I could have cut them up smaller and stuff, but. This is good.
Oh, yeah.
You could eat it just plain, too. Yeah. It's too good to talk.
You just gotta keep putting it away.
Tomato-based sauces are kind of a hit or miss for me sometimes. This is great. It is very tomatoey. And it has, I don't know how to describe it. I wouldn't compare it to like marinara sauce.
No, not at all.
It's very, very light, liquidy. There's bell peppers in here, so I think that also kind of helps with like some of the bite of like a different taste.
I think roll into the flavor. I mean, you got the bell pepper and then the sweet paprika, which is just sweet.
Well,
peppers.
there's caraway seeds, and there's also thyme. The caraway has like a nutty taste.
Okay.
But that's what I'm getting. Is that like nutty? Because the parsnips also have a very unique taste to them. Okay. Rating. How would you rate this one?
Really nice, hearty, home-cooked meal. Should be eaten on like a nice like cold evening. Really nice like set of flavors, not like overly hot or spicy like some dishes that we've tried, but like just really pleasant. I'm really wanting to put this to like 8.8. Yeah.
Okay. This one's tough for me because I bet you this will be even better as leftovers because it has all that time to like where it's just going to sit and soak for longer.
Mm.
I think I'm going to give it a 7.5, but not for taste.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give it a 7.5 because it takes so long to make. If you put this like, and I mean like, I know a lot of people want to hate on crock pots and stuff. Excuse me. A lot of people want to hate on crock pots, and I like understand that. But like, this would be something you'd want to like, this doesn't feel like it'd be very good in a crock pot because you have to like really focus on stuff.
The meat might get tough.
You can also put this in the oven. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. You could see if you did this for too long of a temperature, like it would get very like tough or overcooked.
Mm-hmm.
But letting it steep in itself like as leftovers is really just gonna let it like sink in.
This just requires a lot of attention and effort, which I love those meals.
I guess I kind of graded it from like, oh, I got served it, I'm eating it, this is great. You made it. So like, oh yeah.
I would rate it high too. It's just the effort about putting it into it because it's like, one, I do like the fact that it's a whole meal. The spatzel took 13 minutes to cook, so it wasn't any extra, but it's a lot of ingredients. It's a lot of babying and sitting and monitoring, but it's so worth it.
And we have probably leftovers for how many days?
The week.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
So, anyway, we're going to go ahead and finish this because we're not really talking much because it's so good. But I hope you like our new background. We're sitting in a different angle so that you can see the living room. Anyway, let me pick this off so it's not just go away. Anyway, we are so glad that you came and ate dinner with us /lunch/dinner because we're eating this at like 3:30 in the afternoon.
It's better than sunch.
Sunch? What is sunch?
Supper lunch.
I've never heard that.
I've just made it up.
Sunch? That would be dinner still. Yeah. It'd be dinner. What is your definition of supper though? Because in the European countries, supper is different.
No.
Supper is different than what we call supper.
Supper, the earlier one or the later one?
Tell us in the comments below which one is supper. But now I'm thinking of all these weird combos of names.
Exactly.
What did you do?
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Well, thanks for joining us. And what's going to happen next Monday? I don't know. We could play more games. We could cook. I don't know. People really liked the Hungarian paprikash video, but it's also been sitting there for like a month, and I'm really shocked that it got that much attention. I don't really understand why, but I'm really honored. And if you want me to cook something in particular, let me know, and I'll do it. If you want to see us do more games, let me know. I do. Oh my gosh.
You do?
I'm having a moment. I do want to do a cheese tasting video where I take you guys to the grocery store and not have hiccups. Gracious. I want to do a cheese taste test video where we go to the grocery store and we find some really unique cheeses, but that's going to be a really expensive video. But it'll be really fun.
Some weird cheeses there too.
Yeah, I found some like really delicious looking ones. Like there was apricot cheese, and there was Hatch chili cheese, and all sorts of cheeses. And Merlot cheese is like so good. So maybe If we want to do like a fancy, expensive one, maybe we could do like a cheese and wine tasting. And that would be really interesting to kind of explain to you guys what everything
Just
tastes
gonna
like.
go ahead and spin the wheel and figure out what to pair.
Yeah. So if you guys want to see that video, let me know. If you want to see me make something else, let me know. But besides that, I'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.